Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, you can see I've got a little CT70 through the back windshield right there. I actually bought two of them. There was a antique machinery show. I was trying to come up with the right terminology. Sorry about that. There was an antique machinery show that was being held at our county fairgrounds. And a few years ago, I met a fellow through my father. My father is real active in the small engine and antique machinery shows and those sorts of things. And I met a friend of my dad who is local to me. It lives in the same county as I do. And he is part of this machinery association that puts on this show that was at our fairgrounds. And he called me and he said, hey, there are two Honda Trail 70s that someone has brought into the flea market part of it to sell. Are you interested in them? And he sent me a couple pictures and prices, and I said, yes, I am. It was on a Saturday, and I could not get there that particular day. And he said, well, if you're interested, I'll buy them, and then you just pay me, you know, when you get a chance. So that's what we did. So I went and picked up the two bikes from him, and I dropped one of them off at the shop. It is a Mighty Green K4, pretty rough shape. I paid $300 for it. And then what I've got in the back of the truck right here is a candy red K1 that I paid $350 for. So I paid $650 for two bikes. This one's fairly complete, missing a few little things. It's still pretty rough, but I'm actually on my way home. I'm gonna take this one to the house. I dropped the other one off at the shop, and I'm taking this one home, and thought I'd have just to have a project around the house, you know, when I've got nothing else going on, and tinker with it. And so I might have some time today, so I thought maybe we would try and do a video of just, you know, going through it, seeing if we can maybe even get it to start. If we ride, you know, maybe if we ride it, I don't know. I don't know a thing about these bikes. Woody did not know a thing about these bikes. He just said, hey, they showed up, you know, I'll buy them for you and get them if you want them. And he didn't ask any questions, and I don't have a clue where they came from. So anyway, this video will pick up here in just a few minutes when I get to the house. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is unload it and give this thing a good bath. All right, guys, before we dive into this thing, I thought I'd real quickly just cover what it is we're working on. Maybe you're new to the channel, or you don't know anything about CT70s, or maybe you do, but you just want a little bit of a refresher. This is a Honda CT70K1. Prior to 1976, Honda did not designate the CT70 with a model year. They used a K designation, and they started with K0, and this is a K1, this second model. Some of the things that makes it different from the K0, they split the headlight and speedometer into separate pieces. On the K0, it was all one unit. Oh, got a moth flying on me here. They went to a 7-digit VIN for the number on the VIN instead of 6 that this K0 has. Now, interesting enough, they did keep the 6-digit VIN on the engine. So the best way to tell a K1 engine from a K0 engine is the neutral indicator switch and wire right here. The K0s don't have that. So if you run across a 6-digit engine number and you go, oh, is this a K0 or a K1? Look at that first, and if it's got that neutral switch, then you know it's a K1. If it doesn't, or if it's missing, you're not sure, well, then you got to dig deeper into the VIN numbers, because they made the numbers go a whole lot higher on the K0s than they did the K1, so that might be an indicator what you have. Obviously, decals are a little different. The forks they went away from the pogo stick front end to the hydraulic front end on this model. These have a huge tail light that Honda used, I think, across most of their line. Even the CB750s have this big tail light for all the bikes that were built during that period. After this, they kind of downsized it again, but other than that, I mean, they're very similar to a K0. Got horn button, the light switch is the same. This is not the right seat cover. The seat's a little bit different, but anyway, I think in today's video we're going to just jump in, hopefully see if we can get it to start. If that happens fairly quickly, we may then put some more parts on it and see if it actually moves, and maybe take it for a spin. But I'm more interested in getting it to run today. You might ask, well, why am I if you're not new, if you're a regular around here, you might ask, well, why am I in my garage at home and not at the shop? And the big reason is I did a video a couple weeks ago on a little Honda Z50 that had the flame paint, and I did it here in this garage. And I got great response from that. You guys, you told me that you liked seeing the videos of just, like an everyday guy's garage. When I'm over at the shop, honestly, I have about every tool available to me I can imagine. Here at home, I don't have all those tools, and might be the way you guys are working. So I thought it'd be fun to do another video where, we don't have a lift. We're going to have to set this on a crate or a bucket or something, and the same way you guys would do it at home. So that's what I'm going to do. That's why today's video is here. So anyway, let's jump into it. Let's go through the steps to see if the engine has some spark, some compression. I already see that the spark plug wire is not connected to the boot, so we've got some work ahead of us. But let's jump into it and see what we can get to happen here. Well, the first issue I see with what we got going on here is there's no key. And there seems to be a huge wasp nest or something in here where the key goes. And my power washing got it all wet and mushy. Trying to see if there is a kind of wiring. If it was running, how did they have it running? How did they have it wired? Oh, well, there they just cut the key switch off. Okay. Well, it looks like they connected the red with the white stripe, and the red wire are rolled together. So I wonder if that's going to give us ignition then. Let me find a drill. Tell you what, I'm gonna take a second. I'm gonna take the plug and boot off of the plug, and let's get that spark plug wire fixed. I pulled the spark plug wire out, or I'm sorry, pulled the spark plug out. I've left the wiring the way it was on the key switch. I've cleaned off the end of the spark plug wire. Are you guys looking right there? Yeah. Okay, so let's see if we've got spark at the plug wire. We do not. Nope. Huh. We've got spark if we touch the wire, so we're not jumping any spark. Okay. Let's take a look back at the back here. So they've no battery, but they do have a loop. Okay, so that's good. I think I'm going to pull the wiring out from the frame here. Oh boy. I may have to take this air box off, and the wiring here coming out of the engine should plug into the harness right here. And I think I'm gonna unplug the harness and just jump straight from the stator to the coil to see if we've got spark. So give me a second. I think I'm gonna have to take all this off of here to be able to fish that plug out of there. To get that air box out of there, I'm gonna have to, I think I'm gonna have to take the carb loose too. Just not really enough room. There's a boot on the back of that air box that goes up inside that frame, and just hard to get it off with the carb in place. Now I'm noticing somebody's had this engine apart or something. There's 3 acorn nuts and 1 regular nut, and the regular nut is in the wrong place. And I'm also seeing this is the wrong hardware here holding the cam roller there. So we've got an engine that maybe somebody's been in. Okay, oh, boot, oh boy, that boot's full of stuff. I wonder if they've had the engine out of this bike because they've got the wiring harness is pinched. I wonder if that might be some of our problem. They've got the wiring harness pinched between the frame and the engine. Hang on a second. And not got the harness going through the hole it's supposed to be going through. See right there? That harness should not be doing that. It should be coming up and then going through this hole where the fuel lines and all that. So I'm gonna have to pull the bolts to the engine to get that out of there. I don't like the way that's crimped in there. Give me a few minutes. Rather than try and pull the engine, which I'm not really wanting to do today, I'm gonna try and unplug this. I found there, okay. Now this is the plug coming up out of the engine. Yeah, I do think maybe it's got that pinched. Hard to tell. Some of the wires don't look too bad, but I think it's the one black wire that we need might be grounded out right there. It's this one. We're gonna try it. We're gonna try hooking a jumper wire straight to the black wire from the stator. That's this one. All right, and we're gonna go up here to the coil. Oh, wrong way, sorry. Okay, where
is the black wire coming up from the coil. That should be that wire right there. And we're going to hook that on there. Now let's turn it over and see if we have any fire. We've just eliminated the entire wiring harness out of the bike. Okay, if all goes well, you should see some spark jump. No, okay, see, it's still sparking only when I touch the... I think we've got an issue right there. I wonder if they had to work on this and then put it together with that in the wrong spot, and it eventually wore through, and that's what maybe shut this bike down, that they quit riding it. Because I think our black wire from our stator is being grounded against between the frame and the engine right there. Gosh. All right, fellas, I have got to loosen these two engine bolts, pull this one, see if I can rock the frame back far enough that I can get that plug out from underneath there. All right, so what all have I done here? So I took the top engine bolt out, which required me to take the bracket from the muffler off. I took the muffler loose there. I've taken the engine guard loose on both sides. Now I'm hoping that will allow me to tilt the engine, or tilt the frame up from the engine. But I don't know if I'm still going to have enough room to get that big white plug out of there. Okay, I'm going to have to wrestle with that. Work some kind of way to be able to hold those apart. So when I get it loose, I'll bring you right back. Well, let's see what we've got now. I wound up taking the bike off of the bucket. That is the black wire, right? Took the bike off of the bucket and basically let the engine just droop, fall down. Let's see if that gained us anything. Or if we're going to have to pull the flywheel, see what's going on. No, didn't gain us a thing. No spark. Okay. Well, now we got to pull the flywheel off. Tell you what, I think what I'm going to do first, before I do that, is I'm going to find a 12-volt battery, and we're going to hook a battery to that coil and make sure it'll spark by sending voltage through that coil to the spark plug. Let's do that first before we go tearing this apart. All right, so here's my setup. I have a older Schumacher battery charger that's 12 and 6 volt. I've got it plugged in, and this is the type of charger that does not need, you know, the battery to show any kind of voltage. It'll spark. I don't know if you guys are. It'll spark on its own, not like modern chargers. So I'm going to take the wire that I've got hooked directly to the coil and hook it to the hot wire of that battery charger. And try not to let it touch any kind of ground. I'm a little tight here, fellas, on wiring. I don't have an. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna touch the ground to the ground of the bike and hold the spark plug wire away from the engine case, and we should see spark jump. Sorry, didn't mean to walk in front of you there. Just gotta make sure all my stuff isn't touching. All right, let's get you over here where you can see. Sorry that my filming is maybe a little different than normal. Okay, so where's the spark plug wire? There it is. I'm hoping if you guys are looking right here, you're gonna see spark jump. Yep. See it? That means our coil is good. Coil's good, and it's getting good ground. So our problem must be in our stator someplace. Back you up again. Sorry to keep moving you around. It's just being in a different location, not on a workbench. All right, so now I've got the jumper hooked straight to the stator wire. We've got good output. That doesn't make any sense to me. That should jump. We should have good fire. But we don't. I'm a little bit stumped, I'm not gonna lie. Usually if you can hook and see spark when you hook a wire to the black wire of the stator, you see that spark that you see coming off of this wire over here? That typically means everything behind the stator is working just fine. The points and try something else. Certainly they don't. I wonder if they've got that wired wrong. Okay, hang on a second. Seeing how someone's been in this. No, still nothing there. All right, hang on a second. No. No. Interesting. All right, I'm gonna have to pull the flywheel off and dig a little deeper and see what in the world is going on. Oh, you know what? Were we touching there? Hang on a second. I'm gonna do a couple of those over again. I might have had that end grounded out up there. Okay, nothing from that wire. And touch it, you get that wire. No spark. No. All right, give me a minute. Every everything looks okay. I went ahead and got some sandpaper, sanded that. I don't see an excessive, solder on the condenser is not touching ground. I don't think we'd have anything if it was doing that. So honestly, I didn't see anything that I thought was out of the ordinary. You know, I did power wash this. I don't know if I've got some moisture in somewhere that hasn't worked its way out. Let's see if just hitting some components with the sandpaper, if that did anything. Let's make sure we're not touching ground anywhere. No, still really nothing. Let's see, what do I do with my flashlight? It's not going to work. There we go. There you go. Sorry if all you're looking at is the back of my head. Too big a screwdriver, I think. That's too big a gap. Okay, let's try that. No. This thing has me completely stumped. Well, guys, I'm going to have to tinker with this for a minute and see if I can figure out what's going on. I'm not going to lie. At this point, it's got me completely stumped. I wonder if it's even got any compression. Yeah. Yeah, I think we'll be good if we can get it to fire. Well, let me try a few things, and if I figure something out, I'll bring you back and let you know what I found. Well, I soaked the whole stator assembly in some WD-40 and just put the drill on there and just let her spin. And I think we've got spark. Okay, I think we're good. I think we're ready to drop some fuel in it and see if it'll go putt. But I'm guessing, even though I ran those, some sandpaper over those points, that still they weren't clean enough. And I think between that and the water that I had where I power washed it, I'm wondering if that didn't do something to it. Got too much moisture in there. So I hit it with some WD-40, which, obviously is supposed to displace the water. And like I said, probably just put the drill on there and just spun that stator for, I don't know, 2 to 3 minutes. And finally I saw intermittent spark. And then, I don't know, after about another 30 seconds or so, then we got a good you know, good solid sparks. So hopefully we can get this wire to reach without that cap. We can. Let's see if we can drop a little fuel in it. Make a mess. Start a fire here in my garage. All right, let's see if it will pop. I might have flooded the spark plug with too much fuel. My drill's about ready to die now. Well, I need to see if I've got sparks still. I think I'll do it over here where there's not as much fuel dropped. You guys probably won't see it, but I'm trying not to catch it on ignite that fuel. Oh yeah, we got spark! Heck yeah! Pull the plug out and see if we've got spark. Yeah, it just reached out and grabbed me. Again, I'm trying to keep it away from all that fuel. Yeah, we got good fire. All right, let me put it all back together. Oh, so close. Thought it was going to go. Yeah, my drill's getting hot. Well, maybe I'll stop right there for right now, clean this up, and then we will come back and revisit that in just a bit and extend the video then. All right, so now we're a couple days down the road from when the video just last ended there. I took a break from this from a couple days. Just as a recap, more for myself maybe than it is from you because you just watched it, but it's been a couple days for me. We went through and we got the plug to fire. We bypassed the harness and just ran a jumper from the coil straight down to the stator and cleaned the points a little bit, hit it with some WD-40. Because I had power washed this and it was really wet, I think maybe that was what I was fighting more than anything else to get spark. But eventually we did get everything cleaned up enough, did get the plug to fire. So we're really ready to take this carburetor apart and see what kind of condition it's in. If it needs to be cleaned, it will need to be cleaned, and see if we can put some fuel in it and get the engine to run on the carburetor. But before I do that, before I move forward with that, I think I want to take a step back and I want to re-plug in the harness, and let's make sure that the harness is good now that we've determined that the coil and the stator and we're getting spark otherwise. Let's check out the harness and make sure the harness is going to work. I'll tell you what, before we do that, let's confirm that we do have spark. All right, so we've got our coil wire plugged in to our jumper, which then goes to our stator. So we've bypassed the harness. I've got the spark plug here. You guys might not be able to see this. Well, come on. I really need to put a boot on this spark plug wire is what I really need to do. This thing is not working with me at all. Okay, let's just... The issues of working away from the shop. All right, let's see if I got spark still. Oh yeah. All right, so the plug still has good spark. So let's take out our jumper. Get rid of that. Oh boy, can we reach the... This is the white plug for the harness. So we're going to plug the engine back into that. Okay, I think that feels pretty good. Up here, we're going to take that coil wire. I think that was the coil wire of the harness. I should have got a screwdriver. All right, there it seemed to plug in. All right, so now we're plugged back in to the harness. Now, if you remember right, we did not have a key switch. They've just hot wired it right here. Let's see if we still have spark. Oh, we do. So the harness is good. I'm curious, I'm going to unhook this red wire and the red and white wire. And does that kill our spark? No, it doesn't. What kills our spark? Something's got to be grounded to kill spark, right? Sorry, I'm just kind of playing here for a minute. I'm just curious if any of this will kill spark. No, it doesn't. All right, not going to be concerned about it. We'll play with that later. Let's move forward now and take off this carburetor. The slide will come out. It did, not too bad. We'll lube that up before we put it back in there. Okay, I'm going to take a minute, take the bowl off, and we will see what kind of condition that's in. But I don't have a screwdriver. Hang on just a second. I'm going to attempt to do this without taking the fuel lines off. This carburetor, actually, the outside of it doesn't look bad. I'm kind of hoping that's a good sign that maybe the inside won't be that bad. You know it's going to be, right? I'm really trying to avoid taking that. Oh. Yeah, it's powdery. At least it's not the varnish, but it's the old white powdery stuff. That's not so bad. I can live with that. All right. Does the float? Yeah. That all seems to work. choke. Here's the one we need to know about, this idle jet right here. The main jet hardly ever gets plugged. It's got such a big hole. This is the one that's going to mess us up. And I'm away from my shop and don't have my little wire brush. See if I can see a light through that. I don't see any light through it. All right, I've got to take a second. I may take and give this a WD-40 bath and kind of clean it up a little bit, get some of the flaking debris off so it doesn't suck it into this. But my main issue is to see if I can find some kind of little wire brush here in the garage here at home and see if I can clean out that jet right there. All right, so I struggled with this jet for a little bit, but hopefully as you can, focus on my hand here. Yeah, you see I got a little wire through it. I cut some electrical wire, pulled out a strand, and it doesn't want to focus on that. Come on. Anyway, you get the idea, but I got that little wire through that jet and got it cleaned out. So we'll clean out the rest of the carb and put it all back together. So as you can see, I got the carb all back together. Let's see if we can bolt it on. And I will say that that was one of the easier carbs to clean that I've had in a while. It was in pretty decent shape other than just having that idle jet plugged, and that is not uncommon at all. Say something's not sitting right. There we go. Before I dump fuel in it, we're going to take a look at the tank. See what we think. These plastic tanks, usually they're pretty decent. You don't have too much stuff in them. If it were a steel tank, I probably wouldn't just pour fuel in it until I pulled it out and double checked it. But with a plastic tank, I'm gonna risk it. We're gonna throw, oh yeah. Still has good threads in it, nice and tight. All right, let's put the, spark plug back in it. Good enough. Put a wire on there. Make sure it's not jumping over to ground on the head or anything. That looks good. I think I'll back you guys up because you're probably not looking at the tank. Oh, yeah, that looks really good. One piece of debris I see down there, but it didn't move, so we're gonna maybe assume that it's good and stuck and won't move. Plug up our carb. Excited to see what this does. Huh. This does not have a CT70 seat on it. I think that's an ST90 seat. I'll show it to you in a bit. Okay. I think you go with the way the thing is pointing, so that should be reserved. Tell you what, let's see if we got any fuel in the bowl. Yeah, we're dripping back here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. But we've got fuel in the bowl. Let's choke it. Oh boy, we're blowing all kinds of stuff out the exhaust. No? Well, let's see if we can find something to give it a little jump start, maybe. Oh, we had the throttle wide open, I think. Okay, let's try that. Oh, I felt like it was going to go. It sounds like it's so close. It sounds like it wants to. I have no idea what I'm spraying in there. The can says it's flammable. Man, it sounds like it's trying to catch. All right, give my drill a break. Huh. We still have fuel in the bowl. Yeah, I wonder if we just don't have enough compression. All right, give me a minute. Let me let everything kind of cool off for a second. Let's try it again. I didn't really do anything, just let it sit. I did cut the exhaust off. We're blowing so much stuff out the back. I wonder if there's a restriction in the exhaust. That thing's going to be out of help here in just a second. Boy, it's so close. It's right there. All right, I think I'm going to, since I believe the top end's been off because the nuts aren't in the right orientation, I think I'm going to pull this cam cover and let's check and see where our timing's at. Let's make sure we're good there. Okay. It is off slightly. They've got it off a couple teeth. All right, I'm going to take because they've got it right here and the notch is up here. I'm going to take a minute and loosen the cam and adjust the timing on it just slightly. Well, I believe the reason that the top end was off, I think someone's done a cam chain and cam gear swap, because the stock Honda cam gear should not have these other holes in it. The only holes in it, I believe, are just the 3 for the bolt holes. We've got some extra holes, plus that chain is good and tight. All right, see if that made any kind of difference. I don't care how much you turn it over, it ain't gonna fire if you don't have the spark plug wire on it. Take 2. Let's try it again. All right, I'm gonna put the cover back on before I throw oil all over. I can feel it hitting my leg. Mama Warner have a fit if I get oil all over the garage. Not that she, yeah, she probably wouldn't care. Okay, almost sounded like it wanted to go, didn't it? Try it again. Come on, rascal. Well, a little farther. Let's get another battery. Well, considering the cam timing was off, why don't we check the valves here, see what kind of Actually, that feels pretty good. I don't think I would change that. Hopefully this one's got oil in it. It should, where we were pumping. Oh boy, it's full of oil. Yeah. That one doesn't feel bad either. Carburetor still needs tinkered with, but I think we're going to move on. I need a we need to redo this back wheel. I doubt it's going to hold air. And we're missing an axle adjuster and a nut and a chain. But I think we got it running good enough to at least maybe take it for a spin. I'm going to go wash my hands and we'll tackle the rest of this. tire actually is going to hold air. I've got a brand new KMC motorcycle chain, 88 links. It's a 420 chain. Come on, work with me here. Get on there. All right. I brought of course, I have not even tried to see if those will loosen up. Give me a second. I'm gonna work on this and see if I can get it to those to loosen up and move. Well, the chain maybe is not perfect, but I think we got it good enough. Let's see. Can we get it to fire off again so we can check gears? Maybe we don't need choke. Well, she ain't running all that great. She's definitely running well enough to go for a test run. Must have an air leak. See how that's straightened up on its own? I don't think I was leaning on that throttle. Well, it ain't good, but at least it's a start. Guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.